Within their seemingly infinite hubris, Activision Blizzard has decided to add level boosting to the upcoming release of their Burning Crusade Classic servers. Now, I've been off the WoW wagon for a bit now, my Classic group is on break, and we might not hit the raids before TBC comes out at this rate, due to stress, work, and money being tight. But I still enjoy the game deeply. It's one of the best games to play online even today, as long as you can find the right people to play it with. By itself, it's still fun due to its rewarding character progression, but it can get tiring due to the steep level curve. But some of the quests, music, atmosphere, and world design makes a quiet journey feel very engaging. I've stuck to my word and I haven't touched Shadowlands. With TBC Classic just around the corner, buying another retail expansion is the last thing on my mind. But that's not the focus of today's video. I want to talk about this level boost that has me scratching my head in confusion. For those that are unaware, Blizzard has announced that the Burning Crusade Classic servers that we are going to transition to at some point soon will have paid level boosting up to level 58, which also happens to be the recommended level for questing in Hellfire Peninsula, the new first zone that is introduced within the Burning Crusade's Outland zone. Now, it's not that I don't know why Activision Blizzard is doing this. It's quite obvious, but I'm more so confused at the general response of the community, particularly those in favor of the boost. I can sympathize with some of the more logical responses. It could be a variety of different player types who support this. People who wanted to go back to Classic, but the grind was too much because they have jobs and actual lives now. Or maybe it's retail players coping with their shit expansion that pretend to not care about Classic, but like a jilted ex-lover, they're always asking, hey, did she talk about me? Hey, did she mention me recently? Because they endlessly hear how people are enjoying Classic, and they can't stand that because they could never get past level 10. And they're starting to think, maybe my game is shit, and theirs is the fun one. Now, moving on just briefly into Classic, I was a no changes guy, and I still am, because whatever the experience would be in the end, at least Blizzard would have a mostly hands-off approach in terms of development, and the game could be guided solely by the community. I still wanted Blizzard to at least give more of a shit about issues such as ninjaing, botting, and egregious exploiting and cheating, like they did back in the day through their once excellent customer service. But they seem to have cut corners to the benefit and detriment of the community, with less of a human approach and more of a automated response system. An MMO lives and dies by its community. We're stuck with a smaller one here, and an unregulated one at that, compared to vanilla, which isn't great, but I fear this level booster is going to hurt the game even more. So the problem is as follows. Right now you can go online and you can check the population of a server, you can check the average level of that server, you can check how many people are of what level, what class, what race in that server, and you're going to see a lot of similar themes. A high amount of level 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, a lot of those are probably bank alts or bots, and a high level of level 60s. And in the middle, which is, kind of makes sense, you have everything else. And the problem is this everything else, well, these are people coming in late to the game, these are new players, these are people alt leveling. And the problem is that you have a limited amount of these people now that the game has fizzled out a little bit in popularity, now that we don't have a whole lot of people playing anymore. The initial launch hype has died down, and we're left with a smaller community, much smaller than the original game, and boosting is going to potentially hurt this even more. Having a level boost is the antithesis of the entire point of Classic servers in the first place, and it's the wrong way to solve this population problem. We shouldn't even be stepping towards retail's models. We should be sprinting as far away as fucking possible from this. The reason why we have level boosters in retail is because the game has gotten so boring that no one wants to play it, despite it taking no time at all to hit the max level compared to Classic. Why bother leveling when you can just pay to skip to the good part? I'm going to continue my point on why this is really going to hurt the game in the long run, but I'll also talk about some of the few positives surrounding the boost in a second, but I just want to mention that this is where it'll all start. You can say that this is a slippery slope fallacy, but it all starts somewhere, and Activision Blizzard has made the first big step here. At this rate, we'll see WoW tokens buy Lich King Classic, or something worse. So I find myself scratching my head regarding the character boosters themselves and their timely implementation, especially for use in the Burning Crusade Classic servers. This expansion, Burning Crusade, had tons of patches that were all about curving the leveling difficulty. If you guys thought the leveling grind in Classic was painful, TBC alleviated a lot of the problems, like making certain level brackets faster or adding in more old world quests, but people still want the level boost. Like, it's not good enough that the game is going to be easier, and that we're about to touch upon what some people consider WoW's golden age. You'd think people would want to experience that the way it was intended, and don't tell me that this is necessary, that the game has aged poorly and we need this boost to modernize it. These patch notes from back then are specifically targeted towards players leveling in the old world to help them out. Blizzard already knew that people were struggling questing in the old world while everyone was doing Outland stuff, and they were already fixing it. Now, whether or not it's enough, too much, or an improvement at all to most people is another debate, but the bottom line is that paid level boosters were never there to begin with, and they don't belong here now. But no, people want convenience. They want the game to play itself. They don't want any sort of challenge, because challenge involves waiting, or God forbid, patience. That's why I hardly want to even debate this at all, or at least make a few arguments in favor of the boosts, because 99% of the players who advocate for this stuff vehemently are the same people who have been content with WoW getting shittier and shittier and getting mad at people for criticizing their amazing game that has no problems. Blizzard fans used to be passionate about the games they played because the games themselves were the best in the business, arguably. Now those fans are mocked relentlessly for blindly enjoying subpar products and abhorrent practices, and they always come back for the next WoW expansion. Every single time. Now, I've got a message for these people. If you think buying a WoW booster and hitting level 50 instantly is going to make you like classic TBC in this case, I got bad news for you. It won't. The game is still a grind. You're still going to have issues with it. You're still going to hate it if you hated classic, and it's just frustrating that Blizzard is mainly appealing to this lowest common denominator of their fan base, the type of person who doesn't want to put in effort. They want to monetize the grind. Now, I'm not completely against the idea of a level-up system at this point in the game. When TBC Classic comes out, the world of Azeroth is going to be kind of dead not long after release because a lot of new players won't stick with the game. Again, going back to what I was saying about how the population is dying, go to anywhere, even on a highly populated server, and you notice that everyone is in Stormwind, with not a lot of people out and about in the world to play with like there was back in the day. So in addition to curving the leveling grind, some of these patches actually removed and tweaked elite quests and other things to make the quests way less difficult and add some kind of solo play element. So, I understand to a degree that this boost can help in that, hey, I want to do old world content, but there's no one around to play it. But the problem is that the boost is just going to make things worse. It's like putting a band-aid over a broken arm. What they should be doing is talking about how they're going to be merging servers and how they're going to promote the game more and try to push so that we get more new players who've never played World of Warcraft or players who are fans of older RPGs. You have all kinds of ways of marketing this game and getting people into it, but they want to stick to a hardcore community because I guess they don't want it to compete with their other game, their retail game, but it's all in the same subscription, so I don't understand. There's also the old players who have played the hell out of Classic WoW up until now, but simply don't have the time to level yet another rerolled character to 60, even with the numerous level curves and changes. They've already sunk thousands of hours into the game. They want something new. And while TBC added stuff to the old world, it's not nearly enough for someone who has played through Classic 2, 3, or even 5 times. Level boosting is a nice relief, as many of the classes are getting rebalanced for PvP and PvE, and this is a nice shortcut for those types of players. But I have a feeling those people are going to be in the minority. The sad reality of this boost is that those old world areas are going to be even more dead than they are now. At least right now, I can usually get an elite quest group going, I can still do dungeons, I can get something if I look around. That's on a highly populated server, but at least it works, depending on where you are. It's important to have as many people in those intermediate level areas as possible because people need to do elite quests for extra XP, and it's nice to find people questing in the same area there's a dungeon. It's convenient, and it cuts back on downtime. The biggest problem in WoW's earlier days was getting groups together for dungeons and big quests. Sometimes spending an hour or more in trade chat, finding a tank. Having more players leveling alleviates that problem. There's a common goal to work towards, and it's a great feeling when someone is around the corner, ready to group up for a hard quest or an annoying one. When you don't have people leveling, even if they despise it, I'd rather they quit. because the last thing a lot of struggling new players want to see when they can't get a group for a tough quest or dungeon are a bunch of people running around as newly created level 58s. They'll just give up and either quit or pay for the level boost. They don't see a goal to strive for like they do now, gazing at the level 60s in full raid gear on armored mounts peppering Stormwind. They'll see just another transaction.